Thanks, Divya. Thanks for that. So my name is Sundar. I'm handling the oil and gas and the chemical domain for all the major players in the world of geography locations across all the upstream, midstream, and downstream facilities. This is one interesting case study where we are engaged with one of the customer in Europe, since almost more than a decade, where in which you can see varieties of activities have been done, especially in asset information management world. And here when I said asset information management, it's basically a concept applicable earlier when Divya was walking through the slides, you would have seen a pyramid which cuts across all the industries starting from oil and gas, chemical domain, and metals and minerals, power industries. So this is just a concept, and here the interesting scenario here is we are not working on any specific particular software. We are completely software neutral. Given an opportunity that we have competency in SAP world and all the modules almost, and EAM world like Maximo or any Info Solutions or DataSim 7i, and again ERP, JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, all these stuffs when spoken about maintenance and materials world. But not limiting to that, there are certain predetermined activities starting from document control. We have very excellent subject matter experts and we are also handling a center of excellence for document control and data control, which we call it as DDCC, that is Document and Data Control Center. And starting from 2001, across all the locations, we have handled this project in Nigeria, Russia, Netherlands, Singapore, and here the interesting scenario is the EPCs are different, the platforms were different. We were in a position to handle all the legacy versions, the intelligence versions. When said legacy versions like MicroStation or AutoCAD or legacy documents, intelligent versions like Intergraph products, and very recently even I had a word with Bentley people also that we are using Bentley, which means that we are software neutral. And when we have started working for different geographical locations, there are so much of statutory clearances applicable with regard to hazard safety, HSEs, and their local compliances. Which means that we are neutral in standards too, we are neutral in platforms, we are neutral in applications and processes. This is the project where, when said about upstream or midstream or downstream facilities, you have volume and voluminous of data and document with multiple revisions. So our operating models is like positioning a guy at on-site or customer premises or at EPC premises and get the major portion of the activities back at offshore, which is an interesting scenario with regard to the time, with regard to the cost, and with regard to the quality. And these are certain high-level areas where we started initiating for working for many of the oil and gas customers, chemical customers, and power customers, like starting from data management. Data management is like, when you have a real-time data available for a greenfield project which flows from an EPC, 95% of the time what happens is many of the data, the key data, the critical data are all left blank. So we liaise with the vendors, we liaise with the EPCs, ensure stating that the information is right. The handover phase is a very critical element for a project to operations. That is where we pitch in and try to enrich the data in the required format at the required platform, and as well as in document management. It's yet another key pain area or an interesting area for us, like how do we control the document control and the management. There are totally 76 processes only in document management and control areas, starting from RASI metrics and the handover. There are so much of process areas which includes a robust quality management system, and that's how we are involved heavily with many of the customers, especially in this world, document and data. Then the materials. Materials have got multiple modules within this world, like starting from material master or the bills of material, again, which has got sub-modules within the bills of material like assembly BOM or equipment BOM, and the inventory optimization or stock analysis. All these areas we have been working for almost all the customers in different areas and sectors. Not exactly limiting to one particular module or one particular sector, but as a volume. Certain customers prefer to have only one set of information to handle for all the plants, but certain other customers ask us to work for all the modules at all the areas for one particular facility, especially when it comes to greenfield and brownfield. Then the interesting one is smart plant. We have a smart plant suite, center of excellence on smart plant instrumentation, P&ID, and electrical. And the recent development is we also started working on 3D modeling as well. This is what I started with, like, asset management is just a concept, it's a strategic investment where we are completely neutral on the processes, standards, applications, and the regulations, the local, whichever the geographical locations we are. There are so much of challenges when we are working in a different geography locations, like visa challenges will be there. To understand their norms and policies, and government regulations will be there. So we try to understand the policies, the contract languages, and that's how we are successful in many of those areas, working for various customers at different geographical locations. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Divya Bhatt and Mr. Sundar. Mr. Andy will give a
We would like to call upon our next speaker, Mr. Amit Srivastava, Director Consulting, Bentley Systems, to give a presentation on operational excellence and asset performance management. So please.
perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? So first of all, let me thank Sundar for setting up the theme for my presentation. So what I'm going to talk about is asset information management. So we are moving from services back to technology. I'll cover up what asset information management is all about and just one part of it, which is change management as such. So before I begin off, let me talk about Bentley, and sorry if you think it's too commercialized. The reason behind why I'm talking about Bentley is with a name like Bentley, you'll have a lot of other players and you get confused back. First thing, we're not Bentley Nevada. We're not into instrumentation. We are not part of GE Group. Second, we're not into cars. Although everybody likes to have this car, but we are not giving cars as such. What we are into is basically a software solutions. We have been into the software solution providing from last 30 years. We have about 3,000 colleagues across 42 offices. And what we do is what you see on the screen right now. We have software solutions for the complete infrastructure. Whether you're talking about power plants, you're talking about roads, rail, geospatial, TLI, for that matter, we have solutions for that. So what we call ourselves is we help you to do information modeling. We help you to do information modeling in terms of creating integrated projects for your intelligent infrastructure. The theme which we all have been talking about today, yesterday we talked about, was how can we make our intelligent infrastructures intelligent. We have been talking about how can I optimize my plants, how can I increase my operational performance of my plants back. So what we basically do is help you out with that. So our mission in short is able to provide you with software solutions which will help you to design, build, and operate the world's infrastructure as such. So let me go back to my theme of the presentation, changes. So how many of us think changes are bad? So I don't see anybody nodding except myself right now, because you don't like the change that I'm extending your tea break. So we are already 15 minutes past our break, tea break as such. So changes means progress for everybody. It means progress for me. It means progress for the company, country as a whole. But most importantly, if you're not managing the change pretty well, it becomes risk. What you see on the screen is a 2001 paper, but it's still very relevant. If you are not managing the changes pretty well, you always have chances of disasters. Disasters in industry is rarity. May agree, may not agree back, but you would all agree back that if we are not managing the changes well, if you're not doing proper decision management as such, the results could be devastating. whether it was in 1984 in India, whether you talk about Gulf of Mexico recently back, if you're not managing changes properly, if you're not using the right tools to make your decisions correctly, you may get repeat of what has happened in past back. So let's talk about the issue as such. Why is it important? Why is management of these changes important to all of us? Let's start with a very simplified form that any project, any infrastructure which we start creating starts with a requirement. We have a requirement for something, and then to address that requirement, we start creating information. Information from various sources. We use different applications. Sundar talked about using Smart Plant for creation of information as such. You may use Bentley tools. You may be using Aviva, like a friend from DuPont, where they use Bentley's tools for PIN-ID creation and then 3D tools from Aviva for that matter back. So we use different tools to create these contents. And all these different tools which we use to create contents have their own management processes. They have their own storage tools. They have another repository for managing this data back. So you have silos of information stored in various repositories back. So that is always bound to happen. It happens today. It will continue to happen because we all use different applications because they are good at what they are doing right now. But what happens if there is a change which happens across in a project? So let's take an example. Let's take a very simple example where the federal law changes back. And the federal law, for an example, we can say is the security barrier in your facility has to move from 80 feet to 100 feet, for example. So if there is a change in one of the government regulations, it may result back changes a lot of places back. It would be change in your architectural drawing, it may change in your manufacturer's requirement, it may change in your purchase requirements, etc. So what becomes very important is, one, what is that change going to affect you? Is it a change, if this change is happening a very late time in your project, it may result in your delay of your project, it may result in rework, it may result in increase of your expenses. Or if it's early in the project, but you've still given the work as work package to others, it's very important that you are able to manage that change in terms of communicating everybody, that there is a change which is going to happen or is happening, so that they're prepared to manage that back. So in about 3 years back, we did a study with a survey as such with a lot of our users. And we asked just one simple question back. Whenever there is a change happening in your projects, whether you are an engineering company or whether you are an owner-operator, are you 100% confident about the information which you provide to your users or provide to your organizations and persons that this is a change happening and these will be the effect as such? And the results which came out was not something which surprised us, but that's something which is a fact of today. 51% of the people said changes happens a lot. We all know change happens in our project. There's never that the first time we create a PFD or a PIN-ID and that's approved. You have a number of revisions happening across, for an example. So they said changes happen for sure, but it's not communicated properly. And more importantly, at times you do not have a correct information about the change happening. 47% of the people who underwent that survey question said change is still a manual process. It's still a paper process at times. You have a paper pushed across various departments, and that's the process how they basically manage the change as such back. Now, that's not just Bentley which talks about it. The Institute of Configuration Management basically talked about that and said if the information integrity drops by 8%, what it means is if you're not sure that what you are giving to your users is correct, your employee efficiency drops by 50%, because they go around, try to validate what they have in hand is correct or not. So that's a very big number if you see as such. So what you are basically looking now, or what you should be addressing back, is able to have an information which is trustworthy. You should have an information which you can say, hey, this is a right information. I can make decisions based on what I have in hand. So you should be able to identify what is that information about, who is responsible for that change. In short, it should answer all the WH questions you can have about that change happening. Whether it's an asset item, whether it could be an engineering change happening in your engineering organization or elsewhere as such. So what we are trying to make is a single source of truth through which I can capture information, which I can use to revalidate what is with me. So how can I use this single source of truth for my change? Let's assume I have a proposed change as such. I have to do a change. So if I have a single source of truth to validate, I should be able to define and identify what are the documents which are getting affected by this change. I should be able to identify what are the physical asset items which gets affected by that change. Because you are still initiating a change, you should be able to capture that information. If I'm doing a change, these are the items which will get affected back. I should be also able to identify who is responsible for that change back. Who is accountable for that change? It cannot be randomly, I can do a change or somebody else can do a change. You have a person accountable and responsible for that. More importantly, what is the best practices? If I'm running a fleet, if I have a knowledge base in my organization, I should be able to capture the best practices that if I do such type of a change, this is what we have done in past. These were the mistakes and these were the learning from those changes back. So I should be able to adopt, absorb and use that best practices across my earlier projects back into that change. And what are the compliance requirement if I'm doing a change? If I'm doing that change, what more I have to comply for? So a single source of truth is just not about document management where I can capture and bring documents, my data sheets, PIN-ID. It's far more than that. It's all about how can I capture my structured and unstructured data. Does everybody understand what's an structured and unstructured data? Okay, fine. So I understand that. So our structured data could be a database or any information which has a data model associated with it. Unstructured data could be as simple as a drawing or a PDF document or an Excel spreadsheet which doesn't have a data model. So it's not just document management. It's about capturing the information from various sources and able to manage and maintain relationship between these informations. Now relationships are very important, and as I go ahead in my presentation, I'll talk about how these are important back. And more importantly, those relationship links between items will control what information is pushed to whom and for what reasons back. So that's very important when it comes to creation of a single source of truth or to do information modeling as such. Let me go back to my example where I was talking about a federal change as such. Or any facility if I try to create, I have a requirement, and that requirement will result in a project. A project will result in creating of some asset items or components, and those components are represented in your drawings or documents as such, which are published back to people and organizations. So a very simple example, but if you see there are a lot of relationship links happening across. So if I do a change anywhere, I would have a lot of places where information needs to be circulated. People need to be informed about changes happening. There would be change in documents happening. There will be people who should be notified because they have their own projects. They have defined their task based on that part which they're doing back. So it's very important to have those relationships as such. So what are the best practices? If I have to do something, create something called a single source of truth, what do I need? A very simple stuff. You have a physical asset, a refinery, a power plant, and that's exactly what is which talks about what is actually there. Where is my turbine? Then you have a requirement which says what should be there on your facility as such. And then you have document which says, technically this is what happens there. So if I'm referring a document and I'm not on site, it says a turbine is at this location back. A single source of truth will only happen when all these three information, what's on site, what does the requirement say, and what does your document say back, are same. And if that happens, then only you can have a very good closed loop change management. That's the point where you would be able to really make the right decisions as such. So talking more about that single source of truth, it's just not that I should be able to pull information, it should be configurable and scalable. You can't go with a big bang right away. You have to start small. You may identify one issue within your organization and say, let me try to address that back first. So the system, whatever you use for a single source of truth, should be scalable. It should address the complete life cycle of plant. It should not just focus on works management only. It should not focus just on engineering. It should cover up the complete aspect from detailed design to construction to operation to commissioning for that matter. It should also provide you visibility to changes. Should not just be a document management system. Should not be just a work order management system. Just should not be an engineering change record system. It should provide you visibility across all the sources. And more importantly, it should be built on our industry best practices. You don't want that the new system should be again an isolated system. You don't want that it should not be interoperable with any other software. If you're trying to do something new, it should be something which is interoperable through any other technology which you use in future back. So more importantly, when I create something called single source of truth, it should be able to identify and maintain the structure. It should have something which will help me to understand what is the void in my information. What information about this asset item I am missing, which I should have into the system. It should not only push my information from my legacy system just in. It should tell me this is missing in my legacy system. Maybe I need to know this information back. It should able to identify and analyze changes. What will get affected if I do this change? It should allow you to do change effect analysis as such. It should be able to basically identify what was the baseline of this asset item. Maybe done here, maybe done through a SAP system where the information is stored, maybe from bringing the information from a SCADA system for that matter, and try to compare what's in the baseline, what is you are doing today, and how it will affect you in future back. So let's talk about how do you basically do that. The first thing is data modeling. We have been talking about how can I capture data from various systems. It could be using just Bentley applications or Intergraph or Aviva or any SCADA system as such. More importantly, whatever we do should be on an open platform. Open platform in terms of open information systems. For example, if you are from oil and gas, you would have heard about ISO 15926 standard. That's an initiative which owner-operators, that's an initiative where EPC are sponsoring together and building up a neutral standard on how information within oil and gas can be communicated from one system to another. Second, it should be more important that this system should have information mobility. Information mobility in a very simple terms means I should be able to access information created in whatever system and can be published, viewed across in a central repository back. Something like a very simple example could be a dashboard. I can get my SCADA system information, I can get my Primavera information, present it back together with a relationship about the objects back. And more importantly, it should not just be plant-centric, just asset physical items, just not instruments, just not equipments as such. It should also cover up your buildings, it should cover up your civil infrastructure, it should cover up your substation, transmission and distribution. So you get a complete total view of your plant. When we were talking about today in the morning, digital representation of a plant. A digital representation of a plant does not just mean my physical 3D model. It just does not mean just valves, just pipes, just instrument. It covers structures, it covers your buildings, it covers your road, etc. So it's very important that you should have a complete overview about all these information together. So how do we start? We talked about asset information management, that we should have a single source of truth. But let's talk about how can we start up. The first thing is you should have an asset register. If you are from an owner operator, you may say, I have an asset register. I have a works management system. I have a CMMS system for that matter, where I have my asset trees. Very good, it covers that, but it doesn't cover up your engineering activities. It doesn't cover up your information about what engineering changes are happening back before the work order comes in. If you are still on a greenfield project, you are just conceptualizing your plant still, it's still better to capture requirements, because these requirements will convert into projects and those projects will be converted into your asset items. So very important that You start early in the project at times if you are on a greenfield project, capture your requirement, maintain your relationship between your asset items which are created eventually back so that you get a complete view of your plant as such. So back to Bentley and talking about how do we address it back. And in fact, about 3 years back, we launched this initiative AssetWise in ARC conference itself. So AssetWise is basically an initiative from Bentley where we provide you with an interoperable applications and online services. And we did talk yesterday about cloud, and we talked about how Bentley is working towards cloud, and we have our AssetWise and ProjectWise systems moving towards cloud systems. So AssetWise is that initiative which will allow you to create your asset lifecycle information and manage it back. In short, it's about creating a trusted information and provide to whoever who needs it on a real time as such back. And how do we do it? Using a strong platform of EB, we have created applications for oil and gas, power, and other infrastructure as such which could be used across your life cycle of the plant. So let me give a snapshot of how a change management can happen within our system. So what you see, which I'm sure is not very readable, but what you see here is a highlighted item which is one of the motor generator sets. So I'm trying to do a change on this sub-assembly back. And when I say I'm trying to do a change, it could tell me which will be the affected documents. If I do a change, these will be the physical documents or the drawings which will get modified. It will tell me which will be the items, asset items which will get modified from that. It would talk about which documents I need to modify so that I can implement that change back. It would also tell me in one snapshot who is responsible for that change. I can use the same interface to do what we call it basically the analysis of change to see what will be the effect of that change. I could see who or what physical items will be changed back, what are the change requests which are happened in past or are still planned up, because not everything had been completed. It may be that there's some change requests which are active or planned, so you would be able to capture that information. We talked about asset information management. We talked about that how can you bring information from various silos, publish it together, and that's an example of a dashboard where you would able to see how many change requests are open, how many have been accomplished, link it back to your project schedule and see how your whole project or how your facility look at a particular snapshots. That's we were talking about an asset register, and I said, how do you address your engineering change record back? So this is a line of distinguishing between what a CMS system can do and what an EB or AssetWise can do back. So if you could see back here, basically the change request initialization, whenever you want to do a change request that happens back into EB platform, somebody initialize a change request, you try to analyze, somebody can approve or reject it, and once that has been approved or as such, then it goes to a work management system. It goes into a system like Maximo, where you create work orders, you create your work task and delegate it back for execution back. So that's an example of how EB or AssetWise integrates with Maximo, where the work orders are created in our systems. The master equipment list can either exist in our system or in Maximo, and how information can be published and pushed from one system to another. So in terms of AssetWise, we have an industry-proven application for requirement management. If you're looking for a contract management, looking for a document control and transmittals, record management, project information management, and industry-specific compliance, we have tools, solution set ready, and these are a few users who use our applications. And I would try to conclude back my application talking about one case study from Calway Nuclear Power Plant. So in 2000, Calway had a challenge because in 2001 there were new regulatory standards which were coming in US. They had to do a lot of equipment upgrades. They had the challenge of replacing the aging workforces, so they had issues in terms of knowledge management. So they started implementing in 2001 EB, and as I said, the application should be scalable, so they started with identifying that record management is their first pain point. So we worked with them, addressed that issue of record management, and today EB has replaced about 13 mainframe applications in Calway. So it's a mission critical platform for Calway as such. It's just not nuclear. Their other utilities, they start using solution. And if you see, that's a statement from them